Hello and welcome to Dave's Top Secret High-Tech Lab, otherwise known as my basement corner for all my junk. Today I'd like to talk to you about finding a replacement filter for an old Craftsman or Shop Vac or rigid wet-dry vacs that predate 1988. In 1988, apparently Craftsman, that I'll focus on because that's what I have, in 1988 Craftsman did some downsizing of their filters. So the old filters, otherwise known as a like a green trim or green line around them, they were the largest of the bunch back in the day prior to 88. And apparently I looked everywhere, I cannot find them. So I thought, well, we need to find a substitute. I got on good old YouTube, and there are a few videos out there, but they the one that I was looking at required actual surgery on the metal structure that holds the filter, essentially to cut it and then reattach it to itself with some U-bolts. And you know, I'm not really one that's a fan of cutting into things. So what I'm talking about is good old-fashioned Craftsman, Sears Craftsman, wet dry 16-gallon. I think this applies to anything that's above 5 gallon up to 32 gallon, I think they used to make. These things are really made well. I mean, this thing is what, 40 years old now or something. This is about a 1982 model. The model number is a 113 decimal point 178200, and Sears just sold a million of these things, and they're still out there. So this one here is in good shape. I just would like to get a new filter for it, and this thing has lived in my basements since 1982, and it hasn't been abused. So these things are really built well. A lot of it's steel. The bucket's plastic, but I mean a lot of the rim and everything is just something that, you know, will work ongoing until the brushes wear out or something. But we'll take a look at it. I'm going to flip it upside down and I'll be right back with you. Okay, here's my 16-gallon wet dry upside down. I just have the lid sitting on my workbench here. And this is the original filter still. I never did get this thing wet or, you know, just really screw it up. So the original filter is what you're looking at from 1982. Tip number one, I just found a way that got this thing cleaner than it's been in decades. And that is, I have a Milwaukee, an M18 leaf blower, battery operated. And I just took the leaf blower to this thing. Make sure you're way outside because the cloud of dust is crazy, but this thing almost looks brand new now. It got every bit of dirt off and out of the cracks. So use your battery operated or corded leaf blowers outside. Hold on to it with one hand, hit it with the other hand, and just work your way around the filter, and you end up something that looks this clean. I was amazed. I just did this, and it's pretty cool. So where we're at is, I think this filter is 10 inches high and 7 inches across. That is the unobtainium filter. I couldn't find anything that big. So what I did find is something close, and we'll show you what that is next. It's off of eBay. And this is about the largest I could find. What I was really shooting for is something that's 10 inches high. But if you look at this one's recessed. It's recessed at least a ½ inch. So my goal was to find something that was 9.5 inches high. Still didn't get there. But this one here is 9.3. So and the circumference is obviously smaller, but it's about as big as the what they call the red ring or the red stripe ones that Craftsman went to after 1988. So this is almost 7 inches in diameter. And what I'll do here is take this one off. And what I did, it's not a lot of trouble, but let's just get this filter off here. what I did to make this thing fit on this metal frame is, first of all, it doesn't come with a hole, so I drilled a 1/4-inch hole, and then you'll see just kind of a raised area. What I did is I just flipped this thing upside down. I put 2 pieces of 2x4 just to kind of form a little valley, set this thing over it, and on each side of the 1/4-inch hole, I just tapped it with a hammer and well, it's a rather large punch, flat face punch. Just got in here and just kind of made the top kind of bulge a little bit. In fact, I think I made it bulge a little bit too much. You don't have to get to this extreme, but this little ridge now lines up with the top of this frame, and this little guy goes right on. And it fits, and it's snug, and there, that's option number 1. As soon as I can get my thumb screw back on here. Come on, there we go. Okay, it's plenty of torque on the screw. As you can tell, you can keep going. It's on there good and snug. That's option 1. I'll be back with you here shortly now for option 2, which you and I are going to discover if this works real time, because I've not tried it myself yet. Be right back with you. Okay, option number 2, we've got the same filter. This is the way they come. It comes from a company called Felji, F-E-L-J-I. So again, it's on eBay, and I think the price was like $16, which is not bad. I mean, this is something that is probably less money than most of the other options on eBay. The red stripe one that are shorter. A lot of the other after 1988 filters are shorter than are at or below 8.5 inches, so it just doesn't, it's not going to work. So here I just went ahead and just gave it a little peck with a center punch, and now we're going to drill our 1/4-inch hole real time with my trusty Milwaukee fuel tools. As you can tell, I'm a Milwaukee fan. If you haven't discovered Milwaukee fuel tools, and I don't work for Milwaukee, I would recommend them because I have a lot of Milwaukee. Like I mentioned about the leaf blower, seems to be about the most powerful one out there, and I'm comparing mine with several neighbors that have different brand names. So we're just going to drill this out. Helps to turn it on. Okay, there's our 1/4-inch hole. Get rid of the metal shavings. Now we're just going to repeat the process and set this on. You can tell that we're not quite touching. Got a little bit of slop down there. This filter is 9.3 inches high by 6.6 inches wide, and this is about the best I could come up with. All the other filters are going to be much shorter, and there's no way to make up for any kind of gap. So I've got this just a little shy of what we need. So along comes something called a O-ring. I bought some Mr. O-ring. These are off of Amazon, and the particular Mr. O-ring model or part number that I have is called a 431. So looks like this. It's a 1/4 inch thick, 5 1/4 ID and 5 3/4 OD. So we're going to just throw that on there. We're going to take our filter, put that on there, and that O-ring's going to act like a gasket, like a glove. So off we go with the hard to manipulate with one hand thumb screw here. Oh yeah, we're in. So again, crank it down. Done. Then this of course just flips upside down inside of our bucket. So there you have it. I'll give you some part numbers. Okay, the two part numbers that I've talked about in my videos, I went ahead and looked them back up on the screen here. This is the filter, and the part number is 90328 from a company called Felji, F-E-L-J-I. This is the one that I bought. I told you it was $16.99. That's incorrect. They're $13.99. Again, this is almost tall enough by itself. And my first solution was to just, of course you need a 1/4-inch hole in the top, but then just simply round that top off, or in a row like I did for that metal frame inside the vacuum. And then that was just rounded this off just a little bit with a little ridge, a little bump with that from inside with that large punch. Then for option number 2, I used an O-ring. Still had to use the same filter, and then use the O-ring from Mr. O-ring, and the part number is a 431. Nitro O-ring talks about all this stuff here. 5 1/4 inch inside diameter, 5 3/4 outside diameter, and the O-ring itself is a 1/4 inch. That gives you plenty of like a gasket to use, and that's from the company called Mr. O-ring, and it's part number 431. All three brand names in this time period, or I should, in the year 2022, with again the goal here being finding a filter that's going to work, and it's tall enough so you don't have to cut that frame that's in there, that wire loop that comes up. You don't have to cut that and shorten that. For all the other flavors of red stripe, and oh my gosh, there's different colors, but the old green stripe, the stripes are right through the center of the filter. The old green stripe, which actually my original one is so old it doesn't have a stripe at all, but you can tell the size difference. I mean, it is substantial, but this is the best you can do, at least the best I could find. So anyways, enjoy your old Craftsman Shop Vac and rigid 10-gallon or 5-gallon up. Just measure your filter, and if you've got something along this line, you've got a couple choices here to make these fit. And that's it. Thanks for tuning in, and this is from Dave's top secret high-tech lab, otherwise known as my basement, and we'll see you on the next one.